Hey everyone, my name is Peyton Lauderdale. I am the co-founder of Gathering Hope, and I want to welcome you to Slaying the Stigma. Today, my guest is Cait Robertson, and she is the founder and owner of Milk Couture. And we're going to hear a little bit about her story and get to know her a little bit. Cait, welcome to Slaying the Stigma.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It is
I'm
an
so glad you're
honor.
here. Tell us a little bit about you, and then after that, we want to get to know your story, and you can share as little or as much as you want to share with us.
All right. Well, my name's Cait. I'm from a little beach town called Wilmington, North Carolina. If you've ever seen Dawson's Creek or One Tree Hill from like back in the day, that is our claim to fame.
Awesome.
So that's where I grew up, and I love it there. All my family's there in North Carolina. Um, and yeah, I moved to Nashville. Well, I went to Liberty University in
Okay.
Virginia and then moved to Nashville for music. Like I'm a singer-songwriter, kind of, sorta. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and so I wanted to pursue that. Moved to Nashville, felt like I was a small fish in a big pond, got really burnt out, honestly, trying to like
Okay.
make it happen. And so, anyways, I met my husband here in Nashville. He moved here for music too.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so, yeah, I feel like everybody who moves here like does music or at some point has done music.
It does
But
seem like the place to be.
yeah, it's I love it here though. It's great. But yeah, so I didn't want to put all my eggs in the music basket. So I got my master's in speech therapy,
Okay.
did that for a while. And I also love making recipes. So I did recipes. I worked, I still actually do work as a recipe developer. I make like high protein recipes. And so anyways, that's kind of what I did, like work wise. But yeah, I guess, gosh, I have such a long story that has so many different chapters in it, but man, I guess,
That's what we live for.
yeah,
That's what this whole thing is about. And
okay.
so I love interviewing people that I don't know at all. And so it's truly like I wish that we were sitting down having coffee in a coffee shop, but this
Yeah,
is the next best thing. So
yeah.
tell us your
One day we'll
story.
get coffee.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, so, oh man. So, yeah, I grew up in a Christian home and I love my family. They're amazing. Yeah, I met my husband out here in Nashville. We've been married 10 years. We have a little pug named Mochi, who is our first baby. And then, yeah, so we decided to start trying to have kids.
Okay.
And I think it was like 2017, 2016. I had a lot of infertility issues. I have PCOS and yeah, so you too?
Hmm.
I
Yes.
feel like so many of us do. Like, oh,
Well,
PCOS.
so I'm 42, and my oldest is 14. When when I was in the baby season of life, this was not something that was diagnosed. And I feel like medicine is finally getting a clue about this.
Yeah. Yeah,
So yeah,
thankfully.
yeah. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so yeah, I had no idea what was going on. I just couldn't get pregnant. I didn't know the ovulation thing was weird. Like I did the little test strips, but it wasn't really working that great. So, anyways, I started taking Clomid and I
Okay.
actually got pregnant my first round with Clomid. Um, but it made me a little crazy. Those drugs made me a little crazy. But I did get pregnant. We were so excited because we had been trying for so long. And yeah, we went to the like 6 week ultrasound and there was a heartbeat. We were so excited. Um, and yeah, but a week later, I started bleeding and I just knew, like I just knew. And
Mhm.
it's just weird. It's kind of even weird talking about it because it's almost like I've almost like blacked out that period. It's weird, but I mean, I remember it, but yeah. Anyways, it was just, yeah. I started bleeding. So we went to the ER and yeah, they said there was no heartbeat. And I remember the ultrasound tech and I remember just this feeling of just numb, just
Mm.
completely numb. Like I couldn't even, sometimes my body, I don't know if it's to protect me emotionally, but my body, like when something like that happens, it just like shuts down. And I just, yeah, I just shut
It's
down.
because it's traumatic.
It's so traumatic. Yeah. Yeah. And so, um, yeah, we went home and I don't even think I think I cried at the ER, but like I was so numb, like I was just like emotionless for a couple hours. And it was a very weird feeling. But then that night, it just all the emotions just like hit me like a ton of bricks and it hit my husband and I just remember like just that pain of just the realization that like you lost your baby. And
Hmm.
yeah, and so I just remember like laying in bed and just crying together in bed and just praying together um and we asked God to give us a name for our baby.
Okay.
And and then that night my husband actually had a dream, which was really cool. He was like on a boat in his dream and he was like holding onto the mast of the boat. I don't know if that's the word, but the pole thing.
Yes.
And he was singing the song that's, "Oh Lord, you're beautiful, your grace is or your face is all I seek. But when your eyes are on this child, your grace abounds to me." And so we really felt like God gave him the name Grace for our baby, and it
Wow.
was just like so special. And you know, there's just like times in your life where and I think it was on your Instagram last week where you posted about like a divine appointment that you had, and I just love when God like he shows up and he just like you just know that it's God, you know, like
Yes.
and
Yes.
I feel like it increases your faith, like whenever you're feeling doubts or just like going throughout your life and you're feeling like you know, like where are you, God? But then you remember those times in your life where he very specifically like showed up and like did something amazing like that. And I feel like that dream was one of those times where yeah, he named our baby for us. And
So
so
Grace.
yeah, so
Grace.
Grace Estelle Robertson. Um
Oh, I love that.
yeah,
Tell me more
Estelle,
about Estelle.
that's my late grandmother's name, and she was just like a shining light, like a star. Like it means star in Italian.
Okay.
And yeah, she just has such a beautiful heart. And so,
Mm.
anyways, I always wanted to like name like a middle name of my girl Estelle. So we did. Um, but yeah, so that was that night. Um, the night that after that we went to the ER or that night, and then I just like the next day was just like a blur again, and it was just so much grief. It just like it was the hardest day, and I brought my journal um, that I wrote in during that time because I haven't even looked at it in probably a couple years. And I
Okay.
before this podcast, I was just like looking through it like to remember things, but um, yeah. So, anyways, I just remember that was the hardest day of my entire life, just the grief and just laying in bed and then just like my baby, like actually seeing my baby um was like the hardest moment of my life. And like sorry. I just
Kate, I'll
I
tell
haven't
you
been
that
really
you're not the first person or the last person to have tears on this podcast.
okay,
I woke
cool.
up this morning. I woke up this morning and I was like, I feel them. I feel them right here. And
Yeah.
I have no idea at what point they'll come out today. And
Yeah.
my son would be 9 years old next week.
Aw,
So I hope that that gives you permission to
thank
just be
you.
like,
I
why do we
yeah.
have tears? Because they're babies. These are
Yeah.
children that we don't have on this side of heaven. and they're worth grieving. They're worth those tears. Grace is worth here. See, here comes
Yeah.
mine. Grace is worth
Let's
those
cry
tears.
together.
It's so healing
Yes.
to do that, right?
Yes, definitely. I think, and I believe that like we can all grieve however we need to grieve is
Right.
like the right way. And I'm definitely a crier. But yeah,
I
so
consider myself a professional crier, so you're in good
oh, me
company.
too. Yay.
When you
Oh
were
goodness.
looking at your journal to prepare for the podcast, what I have a feeling, what surprised you when you read
Looking at
that?
my journal,
Mm-hmm.
gosh, a lot. There's actually, well, I'm gonna tell you about this because God gave me a dream too
Okay.
that was amazing, and I forgot a lot of the details about it, and some of those details surprised me.
Okay.
So you want me to tell you about that?
Please do.
Okay. So anyway, so yeah, after that extremely hard day of just grieving all day and just crying all day because that's how I grieve. I that night, um, I just like had no peace and like I was just still crying and just like I really felt like I guess the enemy or just like darkness and like
Mm-hmm.
spiritual warfare kind of stuff and just accusations of just like this is your fault and it's because you're a bad person and just like things I knew were just total lies, you know, but it was happening. It was like it was happening. That was getting spoken to me somehow. Um and I just didn't have peace. And so I just knew like that is not of God. And this was probably around like it was at night, maybe like 10 or 11 p.m. or something. I just couldn't sleep. And so because of that, and so I like went into my closet in my room and just got down and just like cried and prayed and said like God, this is not of you and like please Lord just Jesus give me the peace to sleep tonight. Please give me peace. And yeah, I just cried out to him and prayed um and yeah, he I went to sleep after that. He did give me peace. Um and I've never had like a vision before, you know, like a vision from God. Like, you know, I love Jesus. I've loved him my whole life, but I've never had that like gift of like prophecy or visions or anything like that. And so it was another one of those things that I knew it was God because he gave me the peace to sleep. And then he gave me the most beautiful dream I've ever had. And it was amazing. And it took up like 11 pages of my journal. Because when I woke up, I was like, I have to write down every detail. I cannot forget this because a lot of times I'll forget dreams, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so like the basis of the dream was me and my husband, we live in Franklin, Tennessee, and we were like looking for a new house. And we love our house here in Franklin, but my husband found this awesome house and it was like $1 million. And we were just like dreaming, like, oh, maybe one day. And so we like drove out to look at it. And I I was kind of like, I don't know. Like I love our comfortable life here in Franklin. But we drove out to look at it and it was like this huge mansion. And it was just like so beautiful and so like I've never seen anything like it. And like we were driving up the driveway and there was like this dome, like a bird cage dome, and I don't know what like that symbolizes or anything, but it was all of these like white birds were flying out of it. And anyways, I hope this isn't too weird, but this
I'm
is
here
like the
for it.
dream.
I'm here
Okay,
for it,
cool.
Cait.
So anyways, we walked, you know, to the front of the house and the builder greeted us and he like didn't tell us his name. He just said he was the builder and he was just like the nicest guy I've ever met. And then he showed us around the house and it was the most beautiful house I've ever seen and just like massive and just like so much light and like I described it in my journal, but it like takes up 11 pages. So it's crazy. But there are all these like little kids running around. They were so happy, like showing us around. And then one of the little kids showed me a room that I believe was like my daughter's room that like God had for her. And I don't know if this is like symbolic or, I don't know. It was just a dream that I had, but it just let me know that like God is taking care of my little girl. Sorry. But anyways, so that was my dream. There's a lot more details that I wrote down, but when I woke up, I just like cried because I was so happy that like God gave me that gift. And he also gave my husband a gift of a dream. And so it was just it was just the coolest thing ever, and just literally an answer to prayer for God to tell me that he's taking care of our babies in heaven. And yeah, anyway, sorry.
What a confirmation. Like the Bible says that like the Lord says, I'm going to a place that has many, many rooms.
Yes, I
Like
literally wrote that down, that
like
exact
a
verse
vision of
down.
heaven in your dream. How beautiful.
Exactly. It was amazing. Like, here's the picture. I'm a terrible at drawing. That's
Oh,
and there's like I don't know, I'm terrible at drawing, but anyways, but yeah, I actually wrote down that exact verse that you're saying in my journal. It's in that at the very end of that entry, and it says, "Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and also in me. There is more than enough room in my Father's home. If this were not so, would I have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you? When everything is ready, I will come and get you. So you will always be with me where I am. And you know the way to where I am going." John 14, 1 through 4. And I said, "Thank you, Jesus, for answering my prayer." But anyways, but I think also that dream, because I remember in the dream I was really uncomfortable with like, I don't want to move to a new place. Like I like it here in my little comfort zone, my
mm-hmm,
bubble.
mm-hmm.
But then when like when you're born again and like into the kingdom of God, into heaven, it's so much more than we can even comprehend. It's going to be so beautiful and so perfect that it's almost like scary to us sometimes, at least
Yeah.
for me. Like sometimes when I think of heaven, I'm like, oh, but it says this in the Bible. And I'm like, kind of, I don't know, like, I hope it's great, but you know what I mean? But it's like we cannot comprehend how amazing it's going to be. And anyways, I think that's in my dream. Like God was also showing me like it's going to be so beautiful. You'll never want to leave.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was
Praise
that was
God
very
for
that was
that.
very surprising. All the things of that dream. I was very blown away by God for giving me that gift and giving my husband a gift too, because I don't there's never been a time where in my 10 years of marriage to my husband Joel that he's been like, "Oh, I had this dream from God," but it was like two nights in a row we each had a dream
Incredible.
that we truly believe was from God. So
Yeah.
anyways, that was surprising and pretty cool.
Wow. Wow.
But yeah.
Um, let's see here. Talk a little bit more about your journey through loss.
Okay. Well, after the dream, I mean that did help me and gave me, increased my faith. Um, I'm someone who the way I process things, a lot of times I write songs and I just do creative things. I'm really like I like doing crafty things and stuff like that, but I have a huge love for songwriting, and so I started writing songs too. Um, like the day after the dream, I wrote a song. And anyway, so through my grief process, I just kind of like wrote a lot of songs, and I hope to put them out there one day. But I did that, and then I started reaching out to friends,
Okay.
and that helped me so much. Just it was really surprising to me that so many women that I know, and I didn't know they had gone through it. And it's like, whoa, wow. And it didn't take away the pain, but it almost gave me like a little bit of comfort of like, I'm not alone,
Yes.
and they're here for me. And they were there for me and like shoulder to cry on. And like sometimes that's all you really need. You don't even need someone to like say anything. It's just like just to be there for you to like hug or just like,
Yes.
cry with them, and just to have somebody with you is like everything. So that really helped me a lot, was just friends and family just being there for me.
How did you connect with other people who had gone through a loss? Like, did you make an announcement on Facebook that you had experienced a loss? Or so how did those conversations start?
Well, I knew like some friends that I had gone to church with. Um, I knew that they had been through it, and so I did like reach out to them and at first, and they helped me so much. And I also did make a post on Facebook a while later, and a lot of people like on there were saying like, "Hey, I've been there too." And then even like a lot of friends of mine more recently have gone through it. And so it's like I can kind of be there for them. And it's like you always say, like a sucky sisterhood, but
Yes.
there is just that slight comfort of like, we're not alone, and, you know, we've got each
It
other's back.
it takes off the edge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I was also going to say, I had told you about this earlier, but my friend Krista,
Yeah.
she's awesome. She had a miscarriage, and then a couple months later I did too. And then yeah, so we really hung out a lot during that time, and just she was really such a light in my life during that time, just going through it together. And then she got pregnant again, and then I got pregnant a month after that, and like we met up at a coffee shop, just or no, it was a we got lunch one day and
Okay.
just to hang out, and we were like both pregnant, and we didn't know each other was pregnant, and but we didn't really want, it's hard because like each other
Yeah.
has been through loss, but we both kind of like admitted it to each other that we were pregnant, and we were just like, what? And we just like cried, and then we laughed, and it was just like the coolest thing ever, and I'll never forget it. It was so special. And then now her son Jonathan and my son Gray, our rainbow babies, are both 3 years old, and they're besties.
Oh my
And
gosh, what a
yeah, it's just like
beautiful,
God
like
is so awesome.
that is so I I don't know if I've talked about it on this podcast yet or not, but like my phrase for stuff like that is holy serendipity.
Ooh, yeah, true that.
Like that is only God could give you someone in that moment who is so close to walking through the same thing with you. You guys are both, and then you both end up walking through a pregnancy after those losses together. Like what a
Yeah,
beautiful testament to community and how friendship can just be such a blessing
yes,
in these moments.
definitely. And now we like, I don't know if you ever go on Marco Polo, but because we're like stay-at-home moms, like we can't really get together. So we just Marco Polo like every day and keep each other
Man,
sane.
I miss that part of motherhood so much.
Aw.
My kids are so much older now, and that was just such a sweet time of motherhood for me. Um,
Yeah.
so, what would you tell a mom who's new to this? So, you're a few years in. What would you tell a mom who's brand new to experiencing the loss of her baby?
It's really hard because sometimes there's like I said, like no words, but like I said, like what surprised me was that I wasn't alone. So I would say like you're not alone, and it's okay to grieve however you feel like you want to grieve. Like your feelings are so valid, and there is no shame in however you want to grieve. If you want to talk to people, you know, that helped me, but everybody's different. But I guess my main thing would be just to know that you're not alone. Even that won't take any pain away, but maybe it's like a little bit of comfort. But yeah, it's just really
Yeah,
tough.
it is tough. This podcast serves as both hope for lost moms, but also to start like cracking away at the stigma of pregnancy loss. And
Yeah.
so, what are things that you think the wider community needs to know about this type of experience?
Um, Hmm. I would say, like I was saying earlier, I keep going back to this, but a lot of times it's hard to know what to say, and you don't want to say the wrong thing to somebody who's going through this. So really, I do think that just being a listening ear and letting whoever it is that's going through it, letting that person know, like, hey, I'm here for you, however you need me to be here for you. You want me to like bring you some food? I will just come and give you a hug and wrap my arms around you and like pray over you, like, whatever you need. Um, to just like offer that, whatever that is to that person. At least to me, I feel like that's kind of like I liked that.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. Um, where have you seen hope? Like where have you seen hope? And then talk a little bit about not that we're ever fully healed, right?
Yeah.
But what has helped you to heal a little bit? But talk about hope.
Yeah. Definitely like the dreams that God gave me and my husband helped me a lot to give me so much hope for heaven and just, you know, anything could happen in this life. Like it could be over in an instant for anybody. And so to really have that hope in Christ of heaven and like, to try to keep the kingdom of God like in your mind. It's hard to do when you go through your daily motions and all of that. It's really hard to do because you just get in your routine. Um, but to always like think about that hope of heaven and like that amazing reunion that we'll have with our babies and with Jesus and with each other. And even though it's hard to imagine, we know because God said, because God
Right?
said that it's going to be amazing. And
Some
sometimes
days that's all
you
we
just got to
need is
trust.
like,
Yeah,
because God said.
because God said, and you know, what he says is true. So,
Yes.
so yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Um, what are some of the things that have helped you heal? I know that you have started a business and it sounds like you do so many things, but what are some things that have helped you to heal?
Definitely, it's crazy because yeah, I opened my business 3 weeks ago today.
No
And it feels like
way.
yeah, yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like I feel like it's been like a year. It's wild. Like
I feel
it's
like
wild.
it's been a year.
I know.
Wait, that
It's
does that not speak volumes about like what you're doing though? That's amazing.
well, thank you. And I don't know. I guess breast milk jewelry is like, oh, by the way, I make breast milk jewelry to people listening and keepsake jewelry. I do like cremation ash. I make it into a stone and I set it into settings. But any kind of keepsake, dried flowers, anything really special to you, I can do. But yeah, I think that's kind of like shocking to a lot of people. And so when I put it on TikTok, people were like, whoa, let me share this. And it kind of went viral because not because of like, I'm not special. It's just like the subject matter is like, whoa, that's
Yes.
crazy. Let me share
Yes.
this, you know? So yeah, but yeah, so I love connecting with other women. I always ask like on my order forms, I'm like, I want to hear about you. Like I want to know
Yes.
your story. So when I'm working on the pieces of jewelry, I can like pray over those people specifically and know what they're going through. And it's really cool. It's like I feel like I'm making a lot of friends that they don't even know I'm their friend, but like I know them almost. And when I see people commenting or liking like my posts, I'm like, I know you. I made your jewelry. Like I know your
Yes.
story. I don't know. It's really cool. I just love connecting with other moms and just, making those connections.
I love that too. Love that too. Um, tell us a little bit more about Milk Tour. So, like, how did you start? How does it work? And you mentioned that so it's both breast milk and you can do ashes. Just
Mhm.
tell us all the things.
Okay. Um, so yeah, I started it. Like I said, I'm like a really creative person. Like I have to be creating something. I don't watch a lot of TV or read a lot of books, but I always want to learn new things. So like a couple years ago, I was learning music production, and then I started like knitting or like making little, stuffed animals out of like knitting stuff. Anyway, but I'm always like making new things. And so I actually ordered a breast milk ring for myself from another company, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever. I have to learn how to do this." And so over the last year, I just like scoured the internet and just school of YouTube. Like I'm a big believer in the school of YouTube because,
I wouldn't know how to, like, I don't even know why I went to school.
same. I'm like, why did I get my master's degree? I didn't learn anything. No, I did. But you know what I mean? Like you can literally learn anything on YouTube and like you don't even have to pay for it.
Yes.
So come on. But yeah, so I just watched a ton of YouTube videos. I was on like Reddit. I was everywhere learning. And then when my boys would go to bed at night, I would go out in my garage because it does involve resin, which if you're not wearing like proper PPE or like a gas mask and stuff like that, it can be dangerous. And so I'm
Okay.
like, I'm pretty serious when it comes to protecting myself and my family. So I do it out in the garage. But I would go out in the garage every night. And my thing is like I haven't seen anybody else try to turn it into like a gemstone look. And so I wanted my jewelry to, and I actually haven't really seen anybody doing like the style that I like, honestly.
I have
So
never seen anything like it.
thanks. But I wanted each piece to look like its own unique gemstone. And so that was my focus. I want it to look like a gemstone. And so I have options where you can add like crushed opal, genuine diamond dust, other special things that give it that special like gemstone look to your keepsake. But I mean, pure like keepsake looks beautiful too. But it's really hard to make it look like a gemstone. And my husband is an artist too. He does like video production kind of stuff, like VFX. And so he would kind of critique my my pieces, and it kind of hurt a little bit, but I'm I was like a little annoyed sometimes. I was like, wait, he helped me so much because he told me like what to do to make it look more like a gemstone. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, wow. And so I'm really thankful for his honesty because I feel like it made my work so much better. And anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what I did. I, continued the school of YouTube like all the time, learning how to make a website. I'd already done a lot of like product photography stuff with my recipes. And so I knew kind of photography. Um, so yeah, it's very much like is the word bootstrapped? Is that the word?
Yes.
To start something all by yourself. Like everything is just me, and I've been pouring into it and like working behind the scenes to make it happen for all this last year. And then I started posting to social media about it a couple of months ago just to kind of like build up the hype.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then, yeah, like literally the day after I launched the website, the day after, I had a TikTok video. It's almost at 2 million views now. I'm like,
Cait,
what
that's
the heck?
incredible.
But I like seriously, it took me like 30 seconds to make it. It was like one of those template things. It like I didn't even spend that much time making the video. So it's like the things I put so much time into, like no views, but like the things that are like kind of dumb, like get 2 million views.
I know.
But
Oh my gosh,
anyways,
I know.
yeah.
So within the context of the lost mom community, not everyone has breast milk. Some of us
Yeah.
do, some of us don't. Um, but I can only imagine what a piece of jewelry like this would mean to a lost mom. And
Yes.
so you had mentioned that you can do ashes as well,
Yeah.
which many
Hmm.
of us have. And
Yeah.
so, like, what's the like? I think people would. How would you calm someone's fears of sending that to you?
Oh, that is tough. I only need just a little bit. Just like a half, maybe like a teaspoon, honestly. I mean, it's making the tiniest stone for the most part, unless you're gonna order like a bigger piece. Because I make like these stones that are like this big, like
Okay.
about an inch by an inch, like a heart shape. So maybe for that it would be a little bit more, but I would really only want like the tiniest bit of ash. And I will take such good care of it, I promise, because I know what it's like, to lose a baby. And like, I promise I will take amazing care of it. But yeah, actually one of my friends who was there for me that I told you about
Hmm.
when I went through my miscarriage, she had lost her baby. I think it was like 30 something weeks. She was pretty far along, and
Okay.
I actually just made her and her husband matching rings out of ash from their baby. And so
Wow.
that was really special to kind of like, she was there for me and I could do something for her. And anyway, it fills me up with just so much fulfillment to do this for people. And you know, I didn't have ash, with my baby. And so we actually planted a cherry blossom tree um on her grave. And so cherry blossoms always remind me of her. And so I'm planning to make a ring with cherry blossoms
Oh,
to represent
beautiful.
her. And maybe even I can also do, this sounds really weird, but it's really beautiful. Like the cap of a pregnancy test, like if it's a pink one or a blue one, I can
Yes.
crush it and make it look almost like rose quartz. So I might
Oh,
actually mix that in with the flowers. I mean, there's just the possibilities are endless. I could use like grave dirt. I could use pretty much anything that is special to you. I'm actually making a ring out of somebody's wedding lace for like, I can do anything really, like
oh, wow.
just
That's
whatever is special,
incredible.
you know?
And I know it
But
means so much more to have another lost mom working on that special piece of jewelry. Memorial jewelry is so special to this community. And so I just love what you're doing. And
thank
I think
you.
it's really, really amazing. Um, Before we wrap up, you mentioned friendships. Were there any other resources that were helpful to you as you've walked up this journey?
I would say like my church. But I guess that's kind of in the same
It's
vein of
okay.
friendships.
If your church bless you, I want to hear of
Yeah,
it.
they like just the women there, and they were so many of them had gone through miscarriage. I didn't know that, and some of them had gone through like 7 miscarriages, and I had no idea. And so, just to be able to connect with them was really, really cool. And I didn't know about Gathering Hope at the time because y'all would obviously be like number one, but I didn't know. And so, oh man, like I feel like y'all just need to explode because what y'all are doing is I've never seen anything like it. And it's so cool. And that would, if I had known about it, y'all would have been like number one.
That means a lot. Thank you so much for saying
For
that.
sure. It's true.
How can people connect with you after this podcast? Because I know that they will. It's even just that, like I've shared stuff in Instagram stories, and I know people have reached out to
Oh.
you for jewelry pieces already. So, how can people get in touch with you after this podcast?
Yeah, I have Instagram. It's Milk Couture Co. It's couture or couture, however you want to say it. But MilkCouture.co. On Instagram and TikTok. And then my website, milkcouture.co.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today, Kate. It means a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
This
Such an
was great.
honor.